Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and in this video I would like to show off my tanks. I'm very proud of my tanks, and I just want to kind of go over some of the things that I do with my tanks and what all I've done to them. And before we get started though, don't forget to have your Trump coffee ready, because we all know if you ain't drinking your Trump coffee, you ain't watching Bisons. But anyway, this particular tank, I'm still working on it. Well, I'm actually working on both of them still yet. I haven't got them perfect. Uh, I built all this. The only thing I didn't build was the tank itself. The only thing I done with the tank was reseal it when I first got it, because it was in pretty bad shape. It had a few scratches in it, and it's got some water deposits on the side here I can't seem to get rid of, but eventually I will. It's getting smaller. But when I first got this tank was about 7 years ago, and it went through one move, and that was, well, two moves. That was to move from North Carolina to here, and then from the other place that I was at before I got here to this place. So it went through two moves, and I built the stand that it sets on, and I'm planning on building another stand, but we'll get to that later. That log that I've got in here is a log that I found in the woods in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, and I used to have a Oscar, and he got too big for the tank, so I had to get rid of him. And when I got rid of him, I got 4 angelfish. Well, then I had to move, so I had to get rid of my angelfish. I've got more coming, but since I've been in West Virginia, I have a creek out front in both houses. I mean, it's the same creek. I was only a mile down the road where I was. So I caught some bluegills to put in here and some crawdads. Now, I do have some crawdads in here. In fact, I'll show you the fish here in just a minute. And for the most part, I seem to have a water thumb when it comes to these fish tanks. Everybody says, well, you gotta have a heater. You gotta have a heater. If you ain't got a heater, you ain't doing nothing right. Bullshit. I've had fish tanks all my life. I ran a heater because I listened to the hype, and everybody said, oh, you gotta have a heater. So I went and got heaters. Well, in an Oscar's tank, you don't need a heater, because if anybody knows anything about an Oscar fish, they're redecorators. They like to redecorate. And when they flip that tail, it will break that heater. You have to have your shit together if you want a heater in there. But I've never seen a call for a heater, ever. With tropical fish, with creek fish, any fish I've put in here, I've never had a heater after that Oscar broke the heater. I said never again, because I don't know how he didn't get electrocuted, but he didn't. He broke the thing, and it just shattered glass all down in the gravel and everything, and it's just not been proven to me that a heater is a must in a fish tank. If you keep the inside of your house at the right temperature, which you're going to, because you need it at a certain temperature, and they will live in the same temperature that you'll live in. So the water will automatically become the temperature of whatever the surrounding area is anyway. So if you keep your house at between 68 and 76 or 78 or whatever, depending on whether it's wintertime or summertime, they will adapt, and they've never had a problem. I've never really had a problem with algae growing or brown stuff growing. Now, I have had times where I got lazy, but that was my fault. I got depressed and lazy and let it go and just dreaded going to clean it up, but eventually I do and everything's back to normal. Now, I just redone this tank uh, from what it used to be, and this is what it used to look like about a month ago. And right now we're redoing everything. I have raised the log up off of the ground so that they can get underneath of it, and I can actually get and wash the underneath of the log and be able to get in there with the vac and vacuum the gravel underneath the log, because when it was laying on the gravel before, it was hard to get around that log, and really the only thing you could vacuum would be the front side and maybe a little bit in that bend there where the log kind of bends. So you really couldn't do a good vac clean job to get all that crap out of the gravel. So I lifted it up, put it up on some rocks. I'm trying to get the creek look. Yeah, the gravel's not creek, but it is what it is. You can only get close. You're not going to get exact. So what I have done is I've got bluegill in here. I've got 3 bluegill, 2 rosy reds, which is an accident that they're even in there. I bought 20 rosy reds intending for them to be food for the bluegill and the bass I had in my other tank. So I put 10 in this one and 10 in that one, and these 2 actually survived it. And they've been swimming around with the bluegill with no problem. And so what I've done now is I've got creek crawdads in here, and I went and bought. They're not here yet, but I went and got some blue crawdads, and this is what they look like. And then I went and got 6 koi angelfish. And this is what they look like. So we're trying to get some color in here. So if I got some blue crawdads, and I've got white and yellow and black angelfish, plus the green that I put in here, because I added the green today, and I think it's going to turn out to be a nice tank. Now I've also went and got floating plants. I went and got some frog bit for this tank, and I'll show you the other tank here in a minute. And I got red root for the other tank, because I want 2 different colors. I want that one to have its own theme and this one to have its own theme. This is kind of the West Virginia creek kind of feel. Well, they actually both are kind of country feel. So let me put my Trump coffee down. I know it's hard to say, right? And I'll give you a little tour as to what all I have done in this tank. So I built the hood, and what it has, let me take you off the tripod so I ain't gonna mess it up. This year I just redid. It used to be a different kind of wood, and my son gave me some boards that worked perfect for this. I went and covered the corners a little bit. It also gives them a place to hide behind it, because I do have one that likes to hide somewhere over there on that side. He's not there now, but I just put some rocks in here and just peppered them so that the crawdads would have a place to hide, and some of the smaller fish. Look at that bluegill. He's all interested in what's going on. You see the flashing light? Look at him. Ain't he pretty? they got some pretty stripes on them, blue stripes. And now these are just fake plants that I put in here just to kind of give it some color. And I do have a crawdad that I just seen there a while ago, right down in that hole, but I don't see him now. Oh, they're going to stay hidden now that I'm trying to show you guys. Alright, then I went and I had some shower door framing that I made this channel out of for mounting LED lights. As you can see, these are just the LED light marker lights that you buy for vehicles. And I just mounted 5 on this side and 5 on this side. And yeah, this glass is there to keep this, see that water? It was splashing up on here and I didn't like that. So we can't be having this wood get wet. Yeah, it's painted, but I see a couple drops there that got on it, so I'm going to have to put another piece right here to keep that water from coming up here. But this glass worked perfect right there. It's come out of an oven door that my buddy Dale gave me. And we went with the Sun canister filter, and believe me, I'm not very impressed with them. This is basically the cheap version of a canister filter. I should have went ahead and spent more money and got a better one. This is actually the second one I've put on here, and the first one only lasted about 3 months. Now the one on the other tank is identical. It's been there for almost 1.5 years. So we'll see how long this one lasts. I just put this one in there about a week ago. And I started off with bubbles. And the bubble wall is really hard to maintain. They get clogged. These pumps never work right. I bought this thing here thinking that that was going to be powerful enough to do it, and it was for a while, but then it went to hell and back. And it's got 4 outlets on it, and it was worthless as a tits on a boar hog. So I decided to go this route where the bubbles are, because last week I had a problem with one of my bluegills. He actually turned yellow and was flopping around like he was dying, and he was dying. And look at him. He's all interested. He likes it next to that plant. Ever since I put that plant in there, they've hung around that plant. And I just put that in there about an hour or 2 ago. They love that plant. So what I did, I took a pump, a regular pump, as you can see right here, and hid it behind these rocks and that plant so that no one can see it from the front. I don't care if they see it from the side, because ain't nobody going to be over here. And I just took the filter out, and I'm just basically using it as a recirculating pump. And then I ran a hose up underneath behind this outlet, and then over here, and just draped it over top of the center brace, and it creates bubbles and keeps the water flowing. Because that's what was happening with my bluegill. When he turned yellow and was dying, apparently I had a problem. The bubble wall wasn't working very good, and I didn't think it was such a big issue. So then I went to look to see what was causing that on YouTube, to watch some videos, and they said it was because the water wasn't getting enough oxygen. So this is better than a wave maker as far as I'm concerned, because it actually makes bubbles and keeps the water moving at all times. As you can see, I stirred up some stuff there a while ago, and plus that fish just moved and stirred some stuff up, and eventually all that stuff will go through the filter and be gone. It just takes time. I just got this thing cleaned up a little bit, and I still got a few more things to clean. Like right under here, you can see that hairy looking stuff right there underneath that log in that little section there, and there's some right there in that little section right there, and it's just hard to get underneath there with a sponge. And I had to really scrub that log and get it cleaned back up. So this is what I decided to do, was to put this pump in here to pump that water so that it come out, hit the water, made bubbles, and it worked. So basically that just made this valve obsolete. So I don't think I'll ever use a air pump on this ever again, so this will probably come out. Well, then I had a problem with my crawdads. My crawdads would get a hold of that filter back there, or the screen on the end of that black pipe going into the pump, and they would climb that thing, get up here and crawl out and hit the floor. And I bet when I move here I'll have 20 crawdads dead around the house. I just found one in the sliding glass door in the kitchen. That one came out of that tank in there. So because of that, I had to escape proof it, because these are holes that I had for other things. I had one of these, but it was one of those that mounted on the side, and I cut that hole for that. Well, I didn't use that anymore because then I added this, so I just left that hole. Well, then I had something else right here. I can't remember. Oh, it was for the heater, when I had a heater. So I had to cover those clear down to the rail. Same thing over here with plexiglass. And I made it so that it would fit right around. Let me see if I can get this down there without getting it in the water. You can see, watch me drop my camera in the water. You can see right here where I've cut around this hose or pipe. And then I did the same thing with the cord right here. Now, when I put my blue crawdads in there, there's no way they can get out. No way possible. There's no place big enough for them to squeeze out of. So then I added blue lights, and I'll show you what that looks like. I think I can do this. Yeah. Alright, there's the blue lights that makes it look like nighttime. Kind of makes it look like the moon, and it's really awesome at nighttime. Let me turn this overhead light off, and you can see what I mean. Let me turn this light off too. And I think that looks cool, especially with that green. Is that not cool or what? I think even the flowers has got a little blue tint to them. So I think that looks pretty cool. So let me turn my light back on. I'm gonna have them confused. Well, I think I got a switch going bad. There we go. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get a switch, another switch. And you know, I just built this thing. It's got a sealed box here that the switch is behind to keep the water from hitting the switch if it does. And then I just built a big hinged lid to go on top of it. And this is off of a shower door frame also. This piece here is off of a shower door frame. And this is just a piece of black round, well actually it's that stuff that goes on the edge of stuff to decorate it, and I just slid it in this little slot right here that was on that. I don't remember what this slot was for on a shower door. I think it was for a seal, and I just slid that in there to make it look good. And to hide the corners, I just added this stuff to it, which was what was left over from the doors that I cut off on the bottom of the doors. And I built the stand out of steel, 1/4-inch steel, and forgive the mess in there, it's just cluttered in there. And it turned out pretty nice. Got a little shelf in there for me to put my stuff on and keep my filters and extra stuff. And yeah, it's just stuff that I had laying around. This here is bed frame. And then I had some round pieces that I cut for feet to put on the bottom. Everything's in my way here, so that it doesn't dig into the floor. Now this was shelving. This is where you put your racks in that held your shelves, the framing. And then I put an anchor to the wall so that it can't be knocked over by anybody. So this acts as a leveler and hold it to keep it from tipping over. And believe it or not, I did not get it level. So I didn't want to mess with it until I got the water pretty much out of it. So it's probably going to stay the way it is because it's just fine. It seems to be doing okay. It's not all that noticeable. But this is my living room tank. Look at them fighting. Look at them. They'll go nose to nose, man. What do you think there, guys? Say hello to everybody in YouTube world. Alright, so that's the living room fish tank. Now let's go in here and look at the dining room fish tank, which is my cluttered up frickin' 3D printer room. Part of my 3D printer room. And they've been taking a break here lately. I'm tired of dealing with them. As you can see, I got one crawdad right there that stays hidden underneath that top rock. This one I decided to do rocks and sticks. And then just put some fake feather looking weed in it. Now this one's getting ready to get one hell of a makeover. I gotta finish the stand and I haven't decided how I want to do it yet. I'm still kicking around ideas as to how I want to do it. I wanted to stay with the oak theme, but this here used to be the bottom of this tank instead of the top, because it used to have a stand and I didn't need the stand because I had a corner stand that I built out of an entertainment center that I used for the stand for this one. And I think I have a picture of it. If I do, it'll be right here. If you want to see it, you'll have to go to my other channel, which is right now I've changed it to Bison Games instead of Bison Aquariums, because I started uploading video games that I play. So check that out. It's Bison Games if you want to see some of my fish tanks before, when I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Now I had a bass in here and he was getting about 12 inches long and he was just too hard to handle, too much to feed. So I put him back in the creek, but I put him in a place where I can go feed him every day. And I do. I go feed him cheese every single day. In fact, I'll be feeding him right after I get off of here. In fact, I might just bring you guys with me. This one also has a blue light in it. You can see the blue remnants there of it. When the bright lights go out, the blue lights stay on. The blue lights stay on constantly. Now this one, I'm not going to put frog bit floating flowers in it, or weeds, or whatever you want to call it, plants. This one I'm going to put red root in it. I want to put a little bit of red in this one. So we're probably going to divide the angelfish up, put 3 in this one and 3 in the other. I don't know yet. I may take all the bluegill out of the living room one that we just seen and put them all in here, and put nothing but the angelfish in the front tank. So this one here is not escape proof. This one's the one that the crawdads escape out of, simply because it's all open back here in the back. That needs to change. So I'm thinking about building a new hood for this, or see about filling this in, which might be the easier route to fill this in, because this one slides on. It's got a track where I can just slide this forward. I'll probably end up doing that, because I kind of like this oak. The only problem with this oak is, you see how this board is warped? It's warping on me. I mean, it's still effective. It just looks terrible to me. And I made switch boxes to put on here. This one is for the blue light, and this one is for the bright light, daylight. These are all on timers. They come on and go off at a certain time. And I have 1 bluegill in here, and probably about 5 crawdads in here. They all stay underneath that rock and that rock right there. And like I said, I got 1 bluegill right there. She's the one that turned white and was dying. There's another one back here, another crawdad, way back there in the back. You see him right there? Then I got another one right there, as you can see, right there. See him back in there in the hole? And then I've got a bunch of creek chubs. And crawdads like, hey guys, you're getting too close to me. But I just wanted to go over some of my fish tanks and show them off a little bit. I know that my videos have been a little bit off the wall. I did a driving video the other day, and I did that because I seen a bunch of driving videos on YouTube, and I said, well, I don't see one for this area, so I went ahead and did one. So if somebody needs to know how to get from that place to that place, then it's there. I was going to do one coming back, but I thought, nah, I don't want to aggravate my subscribers too much. But it kind of brought back memories for me, and I do play that video a lot since I put it up, because I like the music on it. I love the music I put on it. I was impressed that I actually was able to find that much music to put on it. But matter of fact, I'll tell you what, let's go look at my other fish tank. I'm gonna go get a piece of cheese, and we're gonna go, let me put you on the tripod here. Take my other stuff off the tripod, and let's go see if we can see old bass. Forgive my house, it's a mess. We're gonna go see if we can't see my bass. A lot of times you don't never see them, and it's getting a little late right now. This is basically my fish tank back here. It's just a natural fish tank in that little creek right there. It's actually, I don't think it's called a creek. I think it's just called a runoff. It's water that runs off the mountain down into the other creek. Yeah, my weeds are getting tall, but I don't have the back to be doing all that weed eating. I did enough. So there's a hole back here beside that big tree right there, and it's a little dark underneath there because it's under the shade. We may not be able to see him, but if he's out, we'll be able to see my bass. So I come up here and feed him all the time, and because I feed him, all the rest of them are happy too, even the ones that was in there. Crawdads and everything gets up in there and says, "Oh, I'm glad he put you in here. We all get fed." Let's see if I can see him before I get up too close so I can hone in on him. I haven't seen him in a day or two, but I'll try to keep you guys on it so if he moves you can see him. He's kind of hard to see sometimes, but he's not here. He's in there, but unless a fox come and got his ass. I noticed the deer have been down here. They've just come down here. That wasn't there before, yesterday. But we're gonna throw some cheese in here and see if we can't see him. It's probably too dark for you guys to see, but I'll just use regular sliced cheese. And I never did give him a name though. I just called him the bass. I don't think he's gonna come out. But I figured since this was real deep, this would be a good place to put him, and I'd still be able to see him. Now if it floods, he might wash on down the river, I don't know. We'll see. He might end up in the Canal River, which is what this feeds. This feeds into the Canal River eventually. Because then this water here goes down into the creek in front of my house, and then that creek goes down to the Canal River, and then it goes towards Charleston. That was the river that we drove by as we was going to on my driving video. Let's throw some over there for the creek chubs. I see him over there. I just pepper it with cheese. They love cheese, but he did too when he was in my tank. I haven't seen him eat this cheese since I've been out here. Since I've been doing this. I guess because he's in his own home back where he started out, because he was in the front yard in the creek when I got him, but he was only about that long when I got him. But he's in a better place now. He liked it in the tank. He was Mr. Head Honcho. But I would like to see him. I haven't seen him in a couple days, so it's a possibility a fox might have got him, because I do have foxes that come in my backyard all the time. There you go, guys. That's all I got. Now that'll be gone tomorrow because the creek chubs and the crawdads will tear that up. But a little late. I probably should have came out a little earlier. So I'll come out tomorrow and when it's earlier and see if I can't get an eye on him. He's probably down underneath that root. That tree there is right down in the water and everything's caught up, so he's probably hiding underneath there somewhere. But that's what I do in a day's time. I mess with my fish and feed my foxes. In fact, I got a deer in my front yard right now. And this will dry up. If it don't rain soon, that'll all dry up, be almost no water. But that one there, that hole there always has water in it, so that's why I felt safe to put him up there. If it would have dried up, I probably would have went ahead and put him in the big creek. and never see them again. But when you keep something for about a year, you kind of get attached to them and don't want to let them go. And he should have been out there months ago, but I just didn't have the heart to get rid of him because I liked him so much. Because he was a pretty one. I think he was a smallmouth bass. If I got a picture of him, I'll show it to you right now. My mower broke on me. I've been working on my lawnmower. The belt broke and destroyed the fan blade on top of the rear end. There's one of my deers. I know, deers is not a word. I've been hanging around Dale too many times. He says that. Drives me nuts every time he says deers. Ain't no such thing as the word deers. If you got a million deer, it's still deer. Anytime you got two of the same letter beside each other, there's no S on the end of it. Goose, you don't see nobody saying gooses, do you? But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed showing you. And basically just a show and tell. I really take pride in my fish tanks, as you can see. And I just enjoy the fish a lot. And I think they're pretty cool tanks. And they're going to get better. And I'm trying to imagine the red root. It's going to have little hairs coming down it. It's not like that duckweed. That duckweed will take over a tank and it's hard to get rid of. So I'm going to do the green frog bit in this one and the red root in the other one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.